J Mac from Syracuse, New York, man. Came all the way out to see my Colorado Buffs.
What channel do you watch? They brought you out here.
The Pregame show.
Never watched the college game till last season when Coach Prime came to Colorado. And I am in Colorado at Folsom Field. I am the Colorado Buffaloes auntie from Texas. Sweet treat.
Hey, I've been following the Pregame show. It's all about let's go Buffs.
Away from Texas, yes sir. Watch you every single day. Nobody lays it down like Uncle Neely and the Pregame show.
Neely, Pregame show behind the scenes of everything. And why does he get that kind of access? Why does he get that kind of access? Because trust is involved. You would never get the kind of access you desire unless there's trust and relationship. You're trying to put your own game.
The game week, so I'm sure you all have questions. I'll try to answer.
Coach, are you planning to kind of go without an announcement quarterback and wait till Friday to kind of have that reveal itself?
I think Coach will handle all that. I mean, we've discussed all of this at great length behind the scenes, and we'll just let it reveal itself. And then if there are any announcements, that's certainly something that Coach Prime will handle.
Have you been happy with what you've seen out of both Juju and
I have. I feel like they've developed quite a bit. I think they're really fine players to begin with, both at different stages of their career. But I'm happy with the way that they've developed as quarterbacks, but then also within our scheme. And so look forward to seeing how far we've come this Friday.
What are some of the strengths that come with the different stages that both guys are at in their careers?
Well, certainly Caden, the experience of having played in a bunch of games in the college level. You know, there's really no substitute, in my opinion, for good experience, right? I mean, you can copy people's knowledge, but you can't copy their wisdom. And I think as you get older and play more, you become wise in situations that you maybe haven't experienced. Juju's super talented. He's seen a lot, and he'll be able to roll with it. And hopefully, to this point, we've given him things to work with, and we've trained him on what to see. And really, when you play quarterback, it's much like being a fisherman, right? You know what you're looking for, know when you see it, and then when it's time to cast or pull the trigger, you pull the trigger. And I think that's what you do when you're training quarterbacks.
Nikki, go ahead.
How have you seen the run game progress this fall camp, and what should fans expect on game day?
I think we've progressed as an offense. We want to try to be a dominant, winning offense, and that happens in a lot of different ways. Last year, for the first time in my career, we were in 10 personnel, flinging the ball all over the place, and that's one way to do it. And we did it for a certain reason, because we were playing to the strength of our team. I feel like this year, I think it's natural to believe that we'll be more balanced, but I want to call plays for us, and I want us to execute plays that are going to gain yards. So whether we run the ball or throw the ball, we want to gain yards and ultimately get it across the goal line.
Tyler, go ahead.
Coach, you've obviously been around a lot of great NFL offensive linemen throughout your career. As Jordan gets ready for year two, how much has he progressed since you've gotten a chance to be around him, and what are you looking for him to continue his progression this year?
Well, great linemen embrace that word development that I talked about in my first presser here, which he's done. He did a lot of tremendous things. He was our best lineman a year ago as a true freshman, but he understands that development's important. He developed his body in the offseason, and then within our scheme, and now working with 4 new players, he's developed that camaraderie that you need as a group. So, it's like any player. You come out here and you try to develop your individual skills as a player, but then the coordination of what it takes to work with the group, and I think he's done a really fine job.
Jack, go ahead.
Coach, you touched on it a little bit earlier, but just from watching Georgia Tech, where do you feel like their strengths are, and where will they kind of challenge you guys the most?
Yeah, I think they're a very tough physical team, and I think that's where our game starts. I think they play very well together. There's some uncertainty as to what they're going to do schematically. They have a new defensive coordinator who comes in, very accomplished guy that's really been involved in a lot of different systems. So the key in the first game for us is to make sure we execute plays, go through our progressions, run the right tracks, block the right guys, and I think that's the same for anybody that plays the first game. We don't have, unlike the NFL, you don't have the benefit of 3 preseason games, because even though teams don't show what they're going to do, you know, they sort of set the hook on what they're going to be so you can move forward. Plus there's a history with coordinators in certain places. New coordinator in a new setting that's done multiple things, we got to expect we're going to see, even though we practice certain looks, we're going to see some unscouted things that we just got to follow our rules and make plays.
Go ahead.
General, no one gets to see our defense more than you get to see them. Depth, talent across the board. How impressed are you by us being able to play some complementary football this year with a strong defense?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think obviously Rob directs it extremely well. The coaches coach their positions extremely well. There's synergy doing it for the second year. I can feel that on offense even. Really in my mind, this is my second year. There's synergy there in terms of the players that remain from a year ago, and then certainly the coaches and what you're saying. There's a memory bank of reps, and then you add the new players into the mix who are super talented, and they kind of fill in the gaps, replacing the old players. So, yeah, I anticipate they're going to be a very dominant defense in a lot of ways like they were a year ago.
Leo, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, what's kind of your process when coming up with an opening script, and you feel you have a few plays that are kind of in your mind going into this week one?
I don't really want to tell you. And yes. Yeah, so that was a 2-part question, right? So, yeah, I mean, I obviously don't want to reveal the openers.
What about like
historically? There's a story, and I'll leave the coach's name private, but where he signed an autograph on the back of the openers one time and gave it to a fan, which isn't really a good thing. You certainly want to keep your opening thoughts private, at least, it's just so you. But you use those opening thoughts for a lot of reasons. Number one, you want to make yards, and you want to get a fast start, and you want to do all those things. But you also want to see by formation or movement or personnel grouping what you can expect to see from the defense, so that you can adjust and then move on to the next play and whatever might be complementary. I mean, that's Glazier Clinic talk, but we basically are going to try to pick the plays early on that we feel like our guys can execute well, because there is some uncertainty as to what we're going to see.
Brian, go ahead.
Coach, I want to ask about Caden again. Aside from what he can do on the field, what have you learned about him as a player, as a person, that you really enjoyed?
I think on our short journey here, you never really know. I mean, we grabbed him obviously, as a transfer, and you get to know him quickly in the recruiting process. And I anticipated what I was going to see, but he's a tough, gritty guy. And then you get to work with him. He studies it very hard. He has a pretty good view of the big picture. That 3- and 4-dimensional thing that you need as a quarterback. And he's obviously a tremendous athlete that, if the situation presents itself, can do some good things with his legs. So I'm looking forward to putting him out there, see what he can do. But I'm really, I've grown to, I guess you could say it. I've kind of grown to love the player during this process. Now we're going to take him, or I'm going to try to help guide him through this next phase, which is playing games for us.
Do you enjoy kind of seeing him grow, like as he learns this team, has been in a new environment?
Yeah, I think so. But it's easier to say with somebody that you've been around. I mean, he's an older player, but yeah, I mean, within what we're trying to do and who he is as a person and all the time we spend together, certainly I've gained a love and appreciation for the young man.
Hey, Coach, in your mind, how different schematically does this offense have to look with all the different personnel and kind of the key positions from last year to this year?
We talk about that, and I know that there's a certain amount of coverage on the predicting what it's going to be, but it really goes back to trying to utilize the strengths of the players that you're presented with. And hopefully, and I know cuts come out tomorrow, but hopefully, we got a lot of receivers that are trying to make NFL rosters, and Shurmur and All these guys are trying to make NFL rosters. This year it's a little bit different, you know. So we might have to take this journey a little differently. But that's what we do as coaches: try to use the players that are available. And so I don't know. Maybe we'll circle back on that in about a month.
Similar question to that, Coach. I want to talk about the excitement part of it for you as a coach. You mentioned earlier doing a lot out of 10 personnel because that's where our talents lie, unique talents. That unique talent is departed, but now we have more depth and diverse talents. How excited are you as a coach that now the kitchen cabinet is wide open and you can go many places with the ball?
I don't know if any cabinets in the kitchen are wide open. I mean, we still have to, utilize the players that are available. It still makes sense to be in 10 personnel. Still makes sense to be in 11, and then whatever grouping we choose to be in. That's just utilizing, we didn't want to use 6 linemen last year. We struggled to find 5.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's all that plays into it, and that's what your training involves, is getting them ready to execute those plays in a game.
Chris, go ahead.
How different did today's practice feel now that it is game week than maybe the rest of training camp leading up to it? What's the excitement level just around the program?
I think our practices are, they're a little more focused with, running cards against Georgia Tech. There's a less competition, what I would say buffs on buffs, which you do a bunch of early in camp. And so, you start to prepare the specific plays. You may have 5 or 6 ways to run mirrored curl flats, right? But now as you get into the game prep, you take it down to 2, maybe 3, and so the detail of that is good. For those of us that have been in this profession a long time, we train all year for these few weekends, right? And this is the first, week of hopefully a long journey. And so we point everything toward the preparation for the game. And so that's fun as well, because we're getting to do the things that we all like to do.
Last one, Jake.
Coaches, what have you seen from Zarian and Cooper in that battle at center? And then has there been any separation in that battle, going into this game?
We feel like there has been, and that'll reveal itself on game day. But we like both players a great deal. Unfortunately, only one of them can start. But whatever happens, it takes a village up there, and there's going to be a scenario this year where we're going to need more than one. So that's where that guy that's not starting has to be ready to roll, and then also be ready to play another position. I'm from the world where you dress 7 or 8 linemen, so you got your front 5, and then you got a backup at center/guard, and then you got a backup at tackle/guard, and so that's a process they have to learn also if they're going to move on in their career. Because if you're not the starter, then you got to be somewhat multiple, so that if we get dinged at a certain position, you can go in and play.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Where y'all from?
We up from Miami, Florida.
We're from Miami.
All the way from Miami.
Appreciate y'all coming, man.
Hey, man, we love what you guys are doing, man. We want to support you in every way.
Appreciate your family.
And we're recruiting at home. Everything we see at home, we bring it this way.
My man.
You gotta believe. Dude, we've been believing since day one,
That's
dog.
why I gave them to
Remember
you.
back in Jackson State? We've been believing with you in the pregame show.